how are we going to re-raise, or will we want to re-raise this ICERD or ratification? Someone once told me that when I asked this question, he told me very point blankly that forget about this ICERD thing for the next 5 years until probably the next general election. We can agree, disagree to that. Perhaps there's some truth in it. No? Given the situation that we face, the ratification or the agenda on the ratification of ICERD may or may not come during this present government's tenure, or it can come the next tenure. But I think more importantly, I think right now, given the situation that we are looking at the reality, clarifications on what ICERD is or is not needs to go on. All the panel speakers, all our experiences, and even perhaps even some of your experiences will tell you that people have not understood what ICERD is. Okay, some people cannot even quote what is ICERD. ICERD is just an acronym, but they can't even quote it fully. So I think the first thing we need to do is notwithstanding whether it's going to be taken up as an agenda during this tenure or not, the most important thing right now I feel is that we need to now go into a campaign to explain what ICERD is or what ICERD is not. Secondly, I think in doing so, we also, as one of the participants suggested, we also need to actually realize that there are a lot of fears. Prof. Shah has actually said it very clearly. 153 is not the provision where all the Malay rights are what you call come from. You know? In fact, it's just 4 areas. But it has been interpreted, or it has been accepted that way, that 153 is the provision that gives so-called Malay rights. So that is something that it's real. It's not, from a legal argument, it's not correct. But the feelings and the sentiments of the people down the ground, it's real. They have come to perceive it that way. Now, the question here is that how do we now assure them that this is not the case? Rectifying ICERD and many of the other human rights conventions and instruments will not make you worse off. And I think this is where people, civil society, and when I talk about civil society, people like us, we need to do perhaps to think about economic empowerment programs that will help the poor, programs that will help in the semi-urban areas that they need education, tuition or whatever, helping them in terms of needs-based programs and so forth and so on. I think Denison, you are involved in the SDG Alliance, Sustainable Goals Alliance. These things need to be given concrete and visible expressions. So they are very important initiatives during these moments. And perhaps the third thing is this, with regards to what Onsen say about politicians and so on. Perhaps we may need to seriously think of not just Section 298 or the Sedition Act and so on and so forth. And this is actually proposed in the NUCC blueprint that was just recently released. The need for perhaps a National Harmony Act, or perhaps even extending it further, a Hate Speech Act. But definitely the NUCC blueprint has actually suggested something very important. The need for community mediation centers, that before a conflict within a community is blown out of proportion or gets out of control, mediation processes and procedures are put into place so that these things are contained at that level instead of making it into a big national political issues. So these are some things that I think we need to think about as we work with the government. They are on the cards with some of us, but plenty of work needs to do, and we can't do it alone. All of us, without exception, needs to do it.